So more Isak. More Isak definitely talk about, as this is part 2 of one I did before. So we're going to take a look at maybe more from Newcastle side. And so what could they have actually done to stop a situation like this? Because, well, at some point last year, we know Liverpool developed strong interest at some point last year in Isak. And he has probably been a target since some point, even last summer, but just kept private. And last summer, we do know though that, or some point last year, or a few months into last season, that Isak wanted like a new contract to keep him. Newcastle had to show how much value he's worth to them, and also that Amanda Staveley, one of the main people in charge for Newcastle's revival and the ownership, she left at some point last year. Then just before this season started, I think their main sporting director Paul Mitchell left as well, and because of a contract not being able to be offered for what Isak wanted, Isak sort of decided that he wanted to explore FOP and sort of definitely get a move away this summer now. And either Amanda Staveley or Paul Mitchell would have told Isak that he'll be able to leave, hence the statement, him saying now that he was promised that he could leave this summer. And so Isak is correct in some part, but of course Newcastle want to have the reasoning that he's still got 3 years left on his 6-year contract, because he's still only halfway through, and so by the contract terms he still can be kept if Liverpool do not pay what Newcastle demand. But also Isak, why Isak wants to also leave is probably because of like Newcastle's lack of ambition. So for when Isak was first there, he had managed to get them into top 4. Then the following season they had a bit of a drop off with Champions League football catching up with them a bit, and them only getting 7th but no European football. Then the season just gone, they've managed to get into 5th place and get Champions League place their extra spot. So but Isak doesn't want to keep just competing for the Champions League or getting the odd domestic cup for Newcastle there, and then he's got big ambitions, and hence why he wants to go to Liverpool, because he knows he can win the title with them, or even go close to win Champions League, or even winning the Champions League. So that's just a big ambition Isak sees in himself. And with also Newcastle I missed out on so many top transfer targets, especially strikers this summer. They failed with Liam Delap, João Pedro, of course, and let's not forget Hugo Ekitike. He already agreed personal terms with Liverpool, and he never agreed personal terms for Newcastle, so Newcastle cannot complain in regards to that, because Liverpool did the background work way before Newcastle got any interest in Ekitike. And of course, Newcastle also rejected by Chesko. The word rejected Chesko. Because how can you miss out on, even though Man U may have more heritage in Newcastle, Newcastle's still in a much better position, I think, than Man U, because even though Newcastle may be restricted by PSR, Man U still been in a lot of heavy debt, and this is a deal Newcastle could have got done if they had a proper sporting director in charge. And the targets Newcastle look to now may be a bit of a scramble. They've been looking at Wolves player Strand Larson, which may be alright, but I'm not too sure about that. And another target, Nicholas Jackson, could even go to one of them main rivals, like a team fighting to get like a 5th place spot. Aston Villa, Jackson may go Newcastle, so may struggle there. And what's actually ironic as well is that Vissel was doing the exact same thing as Isak for a while, refusing to train, but Newcastle still happy. Will Newcastle fans complain about that? I don't think so. And then let's not forget what Anthony Gordon did, like, be 2.5 years now, when he refused to play for Everton again back in January 2023, and Newcastle got him. Were they complaining then? No, so this whole Isak thing being so angry at him is so ironic, given the way they signed Anthony Gordon and the way they may well sign Visser from Brentford now. So, but if Newcastle cannot attract a main striker, like from what the targets they've been trying to get, then Isak must be thinking, why would I want to be here? If players are not struggling to want to come here, what's the point? And just one more point on sporting directors: having a proper sporting director structure in place and chart place of your club is actually very important in achieving your transfer targets and implementing them so you can have a good season on the pitch ahead. You only have to look at Liverpool for why that is so important. Look at 3 years ago when we had no Marco Edwards and no Richard Hughes. Klopp was put in charge of having the funds and transfers for that season, 22-23, and Klopp was solely responsible for signing Darwin Núñez for such a hefty £85 million price. And look where that got us. We ended up finishing 5th, just scraping 5th. So that does prove that without a proper sport director and manager having to take more responsibility for signings and doing nitty-gritty deals, it can affect how players view the ambition of the club. But look now, 3 years to now, look, we have Marco Edwards back in a more senior role, Richard Hughes, the main sporting director, and look at the deals we managed to get through, like Frimpong, Kirkes, and most excitingly, Wirtz. If we did not have this sporting director in place, there's absolutely no way it would have been able to make all those 3 to 4 signings we've done so far. But on a more funny point, I said last time that the whole Isak thing reminds me of Benson Boone, but also if Isak does sign, and then of course it'll make me think of ABBA, because Isak's Swedish, ABBA is Swedish, and then perhaps at some point next week we can say Isak before deadline day, he'll take us to title 21. Isak before deadline day, and then Isak needs to lay all his love on Liverpool.